Sawadee Cup and welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod, Mindful Media and Communication. And today, well, as you already saw, we're talking a little bit about the uncanny world of deepfakes, where, well, seeing is not always believing, right? And as you probably know, though, about deepfakes, right, those AI-powered illusions, they distort reality like a hall of a fun house mirrors, right? So let's try to inspect this trickery here, the implications through communication theories, and maybe even see what we can do to understand them, see when they are out there, and also see what they can do, whether that be good or bad. Yeah, so it's time to peer past the deceptive reflections, so to speak, to uncover the actual deep truth behind those deep fakes. So what are deep fakes, right? Well, let's decode what they actually are, right? So they're powered by AI, and it's similar to deep learning and neural networks, what's all the rage right now, right? Machine learning and so on. So they create fabricated video, audio, and images of people saying or doing fictitious things. A very famous one. It's a bit older already, but it became quite famous. It was one thing that Jordan Peele did. And he had that satirical Obama video which was actually pretty well done already, especially given that it's a bit older already, right? And now those impersonations, they become eerily realistic. And so this shows us that this technology keeps advancing very rapidly, like AI does right now, right? And if you look at different theories again, right, so one of them would be the media richness theory. And so this theory tells us that the addition of video and audio makes messages seem more persuasive and more real. And so that's why deepfakes are something we have to talk about, because deepfakes, they weaponize our bias towards richer media, right? So if you see rich media means media using audio, visuals, and so on, not just text. This means we believe it more. It seems more real to us, and deepfakes become a problem in this regard, of course. And so how does it work? How do deepfakes manage to pull off those convincing illusions and hijack our senses? And the secret lies in those neural networks, like those algorithms that are modeled after the architecture of the human brain, actually. So by consuming extensive source video and audio of a person, those networks, they learn to precisely mimic behaviors, vocal inflections, facial expressions, and emotions over time. So as you can also already hear here, over time, that's crucial, right? They need data. So given sufficient training data, deepfakes can actually then learn more about those different persons and can fabricate new media that very, very closely imitates the existing individual. It's like having an identity theft master of disguise. So a well-trained algorithm fed hours of Donald Trump, for example, that could potentially generate a fake Trump video saying absolutely anything imaginable. Not that he would need an AI for that, but that's something that could happen, right? Right now, there's also some famous ads out there featuring Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, the podcast guy, advertising different nutritional stuff and so on. And he said those are deepfakes. He's never done that. Right? So it's happening while we speak. And just to throw in a few more theories, because that's what we do here, right, to understand why this works. So if you look at the cultivation theory and social construction, and we talked about the cultivation theory before, right? So you remember cultivation theory examines how the accumulated effect of media shapes our social realities over time through repetition, right? So the more we expose to something, the more it becomes real to us. So by constantly bombarding us with consistent synthetic media, deepfakes have the power to actually literally cultivate and cement alternate realities that subvert the truth. So it's kind of like they're throwing it at us over and over and over again. If you keep seeing those deepfakes, eventually you start believing. Yeah, relatedly, constructivism looks at how we actively build and reinforce our own perception of reality based on this accumulated knowledge and experiences. So now deepfakes, they aim to hijack this process by constructing entirely new, engineered realities that then deliberately diverge from consensus facts, right? So those could go hand in hand. And this brings us to the core danger of deepfakes. That they erode public trust across institutions, media, and even our own eyes. It's like finding ourselves trapped in the Matrix. And I mean the Matrix movie in this case, not Top G Andrew Tate's Matrix, which is actually similar because he's also referring to that Matrix. So yeah, because we know that there's so much deepfake media out there. I didn't want to say fake news, but it is, right? So because we know there's so much out there, eventually we don't trust the media anymore. We don't trust what's online. We don't trust what we see. And that's, of course, also a problem. And the last theory I want to mention here that goes hand in hand with that is one that we also talked about before, the agenda setting theory. We talked about it many times, right, in many episodes already. The agenda setting theory suggests that, as you remember, that media has the power to dictate what we think about by just constantly priming certain topics and narratives in the public discourse. Yeah, so every news outlet has an agenda. They want to focus on different points, and that's how they then portray what's happening from different angles. They frame things differently in order to make sure it follows their agenda. So deepfakes, in this case, they provide a very sinister tool for bad actors to hijack the organic public agenda by spreading fake/fabricated videos and stories around election time, for example. It is artificial media manipulation then primes specific themes and angles that serve external agendas rather than authentic public debate. It happens all the time, but of course it's like increased during election cycles. Hence, I'm using this example, but it happens all the time, of course. This leads us to some real-world deepfake dangers, right? So while some creative applications do exist, of course, so it's not all bad, right? So there are creative applications like you could use for advertisement in different countries, so you don't need to, have like different voice-over actors. You could have Ronaldo talk in many different languages, for example, if you hire him as your spokesperson. So that there are a few creative reasons why deepfakes could be beneficial to, whoever's using it. But unethical deepfakes could, of course, unethical deepfakes, they do pose tangible dangers. Yeah, so political deepfakes could, of course, significantly impact elections and policies through intentionally misleading information. Yeah, that's one. Another one would be public figures or celebrities can be inserted into explicit media without consent for harassment purposes, raising major ethical concerns around like privacy and consent, for example. Another one would be falsified announcement by business executives, right? They could manipulate stock prices, investments, and so on in an unethical way for financial gain or even fraud. And lastly, I want to mention that the forgery, right, of extremely personal media remains a big threat that can enable like extortion, abuse, and harassment. And I think that's a very big problem as well, that all the big influential, media channels / members don't really talk about, because everyone talks about policies, politicians, and so on. Yes, that's very important. But I think the normal people, average Joes and Janes and Jills, or however we call them these days, they also face a threat, because it's quite easy to create a fake video of you doing something, and then I'm trying to extort you, right? or abuse or harass you. So that's a very big issue that I think is not taken as serious as it should be. And that's why I think it's important that we maintain critical thinking. And so we gotta fight the spread of deepfakes, and doing that, this requires tireless vigilance and critical thinking skills, because this is what supports us, what makes sure that we understand what is happening, and that we understand that, hey, as technology advances, I'm struggling putting words together now. As technology advances, we also have to advance in our critical thinking skills. And we can't just blindly believe everything. So we have to actively seek out trustworthy, credible sources. You gotta look for independent verification, adding contextual details. So that's some of the best defenses that we have to help navigate this complex, I'm not gonna say wilderness of manipulated mirrors, right? So the progress here depends on our collective commitment as a society to wield these powerful technologies thoughtfully and ethically rather than carelessly. I always bring up that Spider-Man quote, but it just hits it on the nail. With great power, it is the case, and we all wield a lot of power now. And if we are aware of that, and we use it thoughtfully and ethically, that's a good thing. If you use it carelessly, it's a bad thing. So, and I don't want to sound too cheesy, but we share something as societies, like we share like humanity, right? And we can only endure by upholding compassion, human rights, truth, and so on. And hence I have an episode about this, because I find it so important, okay? So I don't want to preach too much in this episode, and I promise next episode it's going to be more about other media aspects, again, less preachy, but it's just an important topic for me, and that's why I wanted to put it out there. So as we kind of like depart this hall of deceptive mirrors that I had us enter in the beginning of this episode, let's make sure to stay grounded all together. We gotta confront deepfakes with our eyes wide open. Neither, and this is important, blindly rejecting nor blindly accepting them without scrutiny. Like either way is not good, right? Either rejecting everything or either accepting everything. Neither way is the right way. We always need to use our critical thinking skills to understand what to believe, what to trust, and what to follow. And so I think that the path ahead for us requires asking all the tough questions. If we gotta continuously hone our discernment and encourage the conscientious use of all the AI capabilities out there. And what I do in my lectures, not quite often, but once in a while, I have some quotes of some people that resonate with the audience, with the students. Today I'm gonna just add a quote that resonates with someone that I read a lot of stuff about when I was younger. And you might have too. Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan, he once said, "You have to know the past to understand the present." And I think that's just also very fitting here, because we've seen it in the past. I think that it fits for two reasons, right? Let me explain, and then we wrap things up here. But we've seen in the past how blindly following technology and just blindly following what's been shown in the media can lead to disastrous consequences. We've seen it in many, many different countries. And the second way, or I understand this quote, is also, if we just look at the past and see like how fast technology has developed and how fast technology and media impacted us, we should be aware of the fact that this can happen now again. And it's going to be even faster, of course. So I think that's just why I found this quote very fitting here. So I'm urging you to just dig deeper, and eventually we'll uncover all the truth the truth is somewhere out there, to also use a different quote from the X-Files. And I hope we can uncover this until next time, I wanted to say. But I need to, before I say goodbye, I of course have to remind you that like, share, subscribe, that would be awesome, because then we can have wider discussions. And I love those discussions. I love the interactions that are happening here and there on social media mostly, even though sometimes I get some not so nice comments, mostly messages actually. Social media is fantastic, but I do appreciate all the discussions though, of course. So if you want to reach out, at funkitpod on social media, funkitpod@gmail.com via email. Like, share, subscribe, share this episode if you found it interesting with your colleagues, friends, and so on, and leave a review if you can. It would be fantastic, because that really, really, really helps. Now I'm saying goodbye. Let me know what you think about AI/deepfakes and so on, and the impact on media/society. That would be cool. Until then, stay safe, take care, and we'll talk soon. Sawadee Krap.